I check my internal biases by ensuring that I truly engage with a very diverse audience, a very diverse people. We are all diverse in our own ways, right? So for me, it's been ensuring that I always ask myself, well, Jonathan, who isn't in your circle? Or who don't you know? What type of person don't you know? And then when I put that question out into the universe, I often come in contact with someone who is not like me. And I take that as an opportunity to check my own internal biases. I will use, for an example, I grew up in a very, very Christian home, pretty stoic Christian home. And so growing up, I did not embrace the diversity of religious beliefs because I was under the impression that only those who were Christian were the ones who knew God, whatsoever that's supposed to mean, right? So when I was growing up, it was a struggle for me to befriend individuals who did not profess Christianity. As I gotten older, I had realized how wrong I was. And those individuals whom I was still able to contact thanks to social media, I had to go back and apologize because as a child I did not know any better. But as we become older and learn more, then we are accountable for what we know, right? And what I know to be true is that people of varying religious beliefs, whether they are religious or not, are still deserving of the same love and respect as any other person, right? Because they are no different than I. So that is how I check my internal bias and how it impacts my professional and personal relationships. I love being in relationship with people. So it's not about our differences, but it is about what do we share as a common thread that can bring us stronger together as a community. Really is a gift. It is a gift that is learned. It is a gift that comes with much turmoil, that comes with stress, that comes with a lot of questions about oneself. But resiliency, as it relates to social action for me, is the fact that when you are resilient, one is able to show that you do not have to subscribe to social norms in order to thrive or just in order to be, to exist in the world. As an openly queer, African American, gender queer, I'm queer in every way. So I'm just gonna put it that way. I'm queer literally in every single way. And my resilience in being queer and being an ordained clergyman has been, how do I coexist in these spaces that do not want me, that do not want the fullness of me? Some spaces don't want me because of my race. Some spaces do not want me because of my sexuality. Some places do not want me because of my gender identity. Some people don't want me because I'm differently abled, even though that's not visible to the eye. But the importance of resilience is continuing to push forward even when it seems like the forces are so strong against you to push you out. Resilience is standing strong when you're fighting for a cause for social justice, for those who are marginalized, for those who are underrepresented, for those who have to live life every single day with a target on their back, not by their choice, but simply because of being who they are. So, resiliency for me is so important because it is a direct correlation to advocacy. Those things where I show the most resilience are the things that I advocate for. To be really inclusive as it relates to people, to ensuring that underrepresented and marginalized communities are supported, not just by putting a person on a board because they meet a checkbox, because that's not it. The advocacy is, has their voice been heard, and will there be change to make this space more equitable for those that aren't centered in power, who aren't centered in privilege, but who are doing this work so that we can blaze the trail for others to come behind us in a way that can sustain social change, right? Things can happen as a reaction to events that happen in the world, but it really takes the resilience of pushing through in reference to fighting against the systems and structures of oppression, of depression. I mean, just these structures that come to diminish the value of life for those who are not centered. So for me, that's what resiliency is. It's the fight. It's the fight. Not the physical fight per se, as in, jab to jab. I'm not talking about that. But it's the fight in using one's words, using one's actions, which will then inform policy, which will then help to shift our culture. So that's what resiliency means to me in my life and practice. Within the academy, within the faith spaces, within the community, I don't just advocate for me, but I advocate for those, as I stated earlier, who are not centralized, who are often looked over, those who are the disinherited. That is what I know my call is in life, and I share that across every spectrum in every room that I'm in because I feel called to do it. One small change in attitude that can disrupt the status quo is simply being teachable. Oh my gosh. It's so simple. It is so simple. It's simple, but it's difficult. Okay? The simplicity of it is being teachable would suggest that we are not rooted in ego, right? And if we study psychology, we can see and learn different things about ego. That's not the only space, but that's the main hub, right? It's the study of the mind, this ego. And I'll go even deeper to talk about the spirit, right? Or soul, because I am a theologian. So I cannot negate that part of myself in talking about how do we move this forward in reference to leadership. Being teachable is the best posture that any one of us could ever be in for the remainder of our lives. There is always something new to learn. The challenge becomes when we have to deconstruct what we have learned and believe to be true, to acknowledge that there are more than one form of truth, or that there is more than one form of truth. But there are some universal truths. And a universal truth about being teachable is that when you're in a posture of being teachable, then you can be taught. If a person is not in a stage of being teachable because the ego kicks in and arrogance kicks in, then it blocks the ability to be able to receive information that is being taught to us. And in being teachable means that we are able to be transformed. So that is small, but it's also very large because I understand how difficult it is, how difficult it can be to learn something different. In reference to religion, when I stepped outside of Christianity, it was totally uncomfortable because I felt deceived by everything that I was taught because I thought that these things were true for so many years. But then when I became teachable, I was able to learn so much more, and I was able to impact a lot more people because I was able to learn. Not only was I able to learn, but I was able to apply. Right? And it took time. It's not like this happened overnight. It took time for this to happen. But I had to first assume the posture of being teachable. So if you have that posture of being teachable in every area of your life, to be able to learn another person's view, to learn the literature and let it transform potentially how you engage and interact with others, it is one of the best skills. One of the best skills that you can utilize to continue to challenge the status quo. The status quo are social norms. The status quo are these expectations of, what does it mean to live in a house with the white picket fence and living this dream? The status quo. How do we challenge that perception of the status quo and continue at it? Because we are living in our authenticity, whatsoever ways that manifests itself.